This is a conversation I have with basically every client at some point. Oh my God, it was so terrible. I had a meeting and there was this one thing that I really wanted to say and I didn't know the words for it and I hesitated and... There are a couple of things that I think you should do. First and foremost, focus on what you do well more than on what you don't do well. And this is a conversation I have with basically every client at some point. Oh my God, it was so terrible. I had a meeting and there was this one thing that I really wanted to say and I didn't know the words for it and I hesitated and then, I just couldn't do it. And then you ask them, well, okay, well, how long was this meeting? Oh, it was about 3 hours long. And how many things in that 3 hours couldn't you say well? Oh, just one. What about the rest of the 3 hours? Oh yeah, I explained everything perfectly. Again, it's human nature that we tend to focus on the tiny percentage that we can't do. And it's the same with when we're hearing and listening to people as well. We might be listening to, we might be watching a 2-hour film and there's one word we don't understand and suddenly, oh, we're terrible. But, it's like 0.00% of the language that we've just comprehended. We just don't notice the positive stuff. So that's why in the template that I gave you right at the beginning of MEFA, when you did it, I can't remember the exact wording, but that's why somewhere in there it says, like, what's one thing you did well today? And I think it's important to try to notice and recognize the things that you are doing well, because the chances are it's probably about, 98% of what you're doing is, you're probably doing spectacularly well. And it's just that 2% that's not quite as good as what it could be. So, give yourself the credit you deserve and notice the good things and try not to worry too much about the bad things. Simultaneously, you do want to learn from those things that you couldn't do. And that's where, the idea of retrodictive learning is extremely powerful. And it can be as simple as just writing down, like we did in your conversation diary. And then you can just leave it at that and then just try to spot things that you could have said in your day-to-day learning over time. Or you can proactively go out and then actually work out how to say that thing. Couple of things that you might want to try here. The first one is probably the best. It's definitely the riskiest, but that's where you've got the most to gain. And that is when you are doing a presentation or you're speaking about something in this kind of way and you run into something that you want to elaborate on, but you're thinking, actually, not confident that I can actually do this. This might go wrong. Do it anyway. You might surprise yourself. You might explain it far better than you expected. It might go horribly wrong, but just treat that as a learning experience. As long as you're not going down a rabbit hole of trying to explain something to somebody and where you actually have no idea what you're saying and you're basically just confusing and wasting people's time. I mean, it never will be that bad. Yet at some point, somebody might think, oh, wait a minute, he wasn't quite as articulate as he usually is with that particular point, but whatever. And that will make then the retrodictive learning part more powerful anyway, because those emotions and that feeling that go with that and the experience of having tried it will make the whole thing clear in your head where you went wrong. And it'll also, be a more powerful emotion as far as actually learning and improving and getting better at that thing is concerned. The other thing is what you're already doing, the retrodictive learning side of things. And this is going to be most useful if you are likely to say and elaborate on the same thing again at some point. But if you can't do it, then go back and work out how you could have done it. And you can and should send, for example, send an email to the Yes group and just say, hey, I wanted to say this, but I wasn't too sure what the right expression was. What do you think? Hey, people can chip in, myself included. And then use something like the 4-3-2 exercise to then practice that. Then it'll become clear. For super important presentations, of course, preparation in advance is definitely beneficial. I practice everything, even in English. The YouTube for Fluency thing we're doing on Monday, I've taught myself through that already. So I know where I'm likely to trip up and where I'm likely to not be able to explain something. So those are the main things I would suggest, alongside be kind to yourself and notice the things that you are doing well, because you're probably doing better than you think is the reality. And again, it's a part of this Dunning-Kruger curve. At some point we do feel what is called imposter syndrome, this feeling of I'm not good enough. Why am I here? Almost like we've tricked ourselves. So like we've tricked people into letting us be there, but it's actually not true. And everybody suffers from it at some point. Does that all make sense?
Thank you.